a hard-drinking woman and a hard-working woman. She's been around this program for several years. I was 1 year old when she came into the program. And if you look at the top of my head, you can see it's been a few 24 hours. But when she came into the rooms, she found it. She's been around these rooms ever since. She's got commitments across the United States. She's committed all the way through part of 2016. At the age of 93, she is still doing a great amount of service in this program. And I can't say enough about her. And I hope that everybody can give a warm Connecticut welcome to my great friend, Liz B.
Did you want to adjust this? Go ahead, adjust it. He taped me 2 weeks ago. He's back at me again. He's a doll. Yes, you are. Whoa! Woo! What a... I got to get myself together. Hold on. Whew. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. My name is Liz Bailey. My anonymity's been shut to hell for a long time. I don't run around telling everybody who's in AA. That's one thing I don't do. But I am the most grateful alcoholic you ever laid your eyes on. I came into AA when AA was 17 years old. We're 79 years old this year, and next year we'll be 80. And my motor's still running. I'm going to take this opportunity to thank the committee for putting on such a beautiful affair this morning. I want to thank all of you for coming. Some of you heard me 30 years ago. Some of them heard me 25 years ago. They walk up and tell me how many years ago they heard me. And one girl said to me, I don't want to hear you no more because you tell the same story. I said, well, I'm not going to go out and get you a new one, I'll tell you that right now. I'm not going to do that. But I'd like to thank Lyndon for calling me and inviting me. I fell in love with him over the telephone. I don't know if he got a wife or not, but I'm no trouble. I'm no trouble at 93. You should have seen me 50 years ago. It would have been a mess. See? But again, I want to thank Beth Ann. I want to thank Lyndon, and I want to thank Mark for coming. And I want you to give these people a round of applause. Because Mark came all the way to Queens and picked me up on time. And I am ever grateful to Mark. We've had a meeting coming and going. And he likes to question me about the past. I came into AA at the age of 31. I was really 13 in the head. And I had a lot to learn about me. I knew nothing about me. I knew nothing about alcoholism. I had never heard the word alcoholism till I hit my first AA meeting. And all I always knew is what are we drinking and what are we chipping in for and stuff like that. And don't you ever take a drink like this in front of me and sip it for 20 minutes. Because you got on my nerves. And I got away from you. There was a minister preaching one time. And he says, if you drink alcohol, you're doomed to die. And the little old lady down front, she said, amen. Smoked those cigarettes. you're doomed to die. And the little old lady said again, amen. And then he said, now, if you chew tobacco, she said, look at that. He done stopped preaching and gone to meddling. So I'm going to go to meddling. And you know, we hate the truth. We hate it. But the truth will set you free. And Mr. Bailey is the one that told me about AA. And I cursed him down. Oh, did I lay his soul to rest. You know what I told him to do with AA? I've cleaned up my mouth now. See, because my mouth was a sewer when I came to AA. I was on the bar stool all the time, drunk all the time. And I watched myself go down from the age 12 years old to 31. I went downhill all the way. I'm happy to meet some new friends today. And I hope we continue to be friends, because that's what it's all about, the fellowship of men and women. And here again, I'm rambling, but I'm going to tell you about my first drink at the age of 12 years old. And as I look back, I was a stone alcoholic at the age of 12. And I didn't hear that word, I tell you, until I came to AA. All I thought it was a normal way of life. But towards the end, I knew it wasn't a normal way of life. My mother made my first drink. I have never seen my mother take a drink in my entire life. And when I came to AA, I was wishing I could give her 2 drinks and bring her in, because she could have used all 12 steps and 12 positions and everything else. I'll tell you. My dad was a pitiful alcoholic. I watched the policeman beat him. I watched neighbors beat him. And I watched him come out of Mother Cabrina Hospital wrapped like a bummy many, many times. I used to lay out the window and see if my mother was coming down the street, just so I could get my father up off the floor and not let him get another beating. I'm ever grateful that I was in AA at the time. My dad committed suicide out at Central Islip. Again, at the age of 12, my mom made rice wine. This is my first drink, rice wine. She had received the ingredients from the welfare. And she left me to sieve this rice wine through Cheese Corp. And I sieved and sipped. Oh, honey, it was good. And I kept on sieving and sipping. Oh, wonderful. Ooh, I sieved and sipped till I got drunk and had to be padlocked into a side room for my protection. Now, at 14, I began to sell King Kong booze. And it was King Kong. It stood you straight in, knocked you right down, too. And here again, I bought it from a man that made this King Kong in a bathtub next door. And I was selling it for 40 cents a cream pitcher. Now, you told me to take mayonnaise, olive oil, butter, cream, drink plenty of that stuff before you drink, Liz. Then you can drink plenty and you can make good money. Well, I did take all that stuff, and the King Kong was so powerful, it went all through the mayonnaise, the butter, the cream, and all that. So I stopped drinking that stuff. But I drank that King Kong and always had to be padlocked. But I put a better table on for my children, my sisters. I'm the oldest of 5. And I put shoes on them and things like that, because I made good money. And one night, I'm laying out the window. I live 1 flight up. And I see this cute little dude. Oh, he's so cute, I almost fell out the window, to tell you the truth. But then I saw this roll of money. And I said, whoop, there's a live one. Always looking for a live one. Even in AA. I don't look for deadheads in AA. No. I'm sorry. I don't need nobody to pull me down. No. So I went down and I latched on to him. He's cute. He got a roll of money. A $5 bill around a lot of ones. But he's so cute, who cared? So I started to go downtown, the east side of New York. give people a place so they'd come up and give me a play, because I'm selling this booze. So at the age of 14, I asked my mother, would she sign for me to marry him? He's 10 years older than myself. And she says, oh, no, dear. Over my dead body. That man will have you out in the street. You'll live a terrible life with him. And I found out something at myself at 14. Don't you ever, but never, tell me what not to do, because that's just what I'm going to do. And I thank God when I came to AA, they had the word suggested up on the steps, because otherwise, I don't know if I'd have made it. But I remember that at the age of 17, I left New York, and I went to Baltimore, Maryland. 3rd day of January, 1939, I'm standing up in the courthouse. Reverend Harris is marrying Mr. Bailey and I, and I'm crying my heart out. And the minister stopped the ceremony. He says, my dear young lady, would you mind telling me what you're crying about? I said, well, at last I got him. Well, I'm going to be honest with every one of you in this room. That was the sorriest day of Mr. Bailey's life. When he said, I do to Liz Ulrich. Because I came back to New York with that marriage license. Woo! No more mama. No more neighbors. Nobody's going to tell me how to live. I'm going to tear up New York, and I certainly did. I'll tell you the truth. Because Mr. Bailey would meet me coming in from work. Where you going, Liz? I said, to get a quart of milk, loaf of bread. I'd show up a week later. So you see why the band cried down, okay? And here I didn't want to drink like that, but I didn't know any better. And I kept drinking. And I began to lie, cheat, duck, dodge, connive, all to stay drunk. I've been telling the story about me throwing the liquor bottles in between the ceiling, the first floor and the basement. And I said, if that lady ever took her ceilings down, these bottles are going to crash her. And then I'm running around New York knitting without needles. I have to have this drink to wash, to iron, to cook, to clean, to sit out on the stoop. And in my neighborhood then, you didn't sit out on no stoop with a bottle. But Liz was out there with her bottle, sitting on the stoop. And neighbors were telling me things I said and I'd done. Why are they lying on me like that? I got into AA and I found out they weren't lying. So I kept drinking. And so I remember my last drink. I set fire to furniture. One morning I had always told Mr. Bailey, when I'm drinking, shut up. And when I'm coming off a drunk, shut up. I don't want to hear him either way. And I just learned from Dr. Phil on TV, there's two sides to a pancake. I love it. I love it. There is two sides. Because here I can't stop drinking. And I'm putting the drink up in the window even when I had enough to collect gnats. I strain the gnats off and drink the stuff. Who cares about gnats? See? So here again, I said to Mr. Bailey, maybe if you drank with me, because he was not an alcoholic, I wouldn't want to drink so much. I wouldn't want to roam, because I roamed. See? So after a while, he went out. My sister had 3 bars in Manhattan, one on 7th Avenue, 8th Avenue, and another one on St. Nicholas, somewhere she had a bar. And I'd go in her bar in Manhattan. I'm living in Queens now. And I'd sit there and get drunk. And the minute she saw me getting drunk, she'd say, get on the horse. Get on the horse. That meant get out of her bar, but fast. And I don't know if you've ever seen a drunken woman trying to walk up a hill straight and get on the subway and try to sit like a lady and brr. And then I bought a house in Queens. They all looked alike. And I get out there and I don't know which is my house. And I don't neighbors to see what a drunk I am. And I'm standing in the middle of the road, bobbing and weaving. And all of a sudden, I spot a Christmas tree. I'll try that house next to the tree. And so it was my house. So I went over the next day. Mr. Rochford, never cut that tree down, because I won't get in if you do. See, that's the kind of crazy life I have. I remember waking up one morning, and I had a hangover. Oh, my God, did I have a hangover. I tried putting a raw egg in the beer. I tried Anderson, BC, little packages of Blue BC. I tried everything to get rid of that hangover. So I reached over and I grabbed a Bible off my night table. And I said, maybe I'll find the answer in the Bible, how to straighten my life out. And Mr. Bailey passed my room. Put that Bible down, you hypocrite. Put it down. 20 minutes to an hour, you'll be so drunk, you'll be slapping one of the kids down, hopping a cab, or swinging a corner. I didn't even know he knew all that about me. I really didn't. And I don't want to hear his mouth. I had told him to shut that mouth, and he kept lecturing me. So I go and I jump up in the second floor window, and just as I'm getting ready to throw my body down into the yard, there's a little old lady named Nana Backer. And Nana spots me standing up in the window. Mr. Bailey! Mr. Bailey! You better get her! She's going to jump! And I see him come out the next window with his hands, and he's pleading with the woman. Please let her jump. Please. Please let her jump. I'll be rid of all my problems, all my troubles, and everything. Let that, you know my name was Bitch, don't you? Okay. You know that. Let me, and I looked over at him, and I wonder, who did he think he is? I got down out of that window, got back into bed, pulled the sheet over me, and slept that one off. Now, when he went to the city with me to drink with me, he got drunk. I'm drunk. He goes home. I'm going to the after-hour joint, and he's telling me, I can't give you enough. He says, is that enough for you? Look at this. We've been over here drinking all night. Now you come home and you look up an after-hour joint. I need some more. What can I tell you? He goes home and falls into the radiator and busts his head. You bet your gram he never went and took me out anymore. He never took me out, and I just kept going down. I'm going to tell you about my last drunk. I'm drinking with hard two-fist drinkers in the VFW Hall on 110th and Merrick Road. And now there's a lady coming to sell some insurance for the house. I forgot to tell you about me having children. I figured maybe if I had a baby, that would stop me from drinking. Well, near 2 years of marriage, I had a baby boy. And the minute he came in the world and he went, nah, I said, give me a drink. So he didn't stop me. Well, I'll have another one to keep him company. The second one came, nah, give me a drink. The third one came, and give me a drink. I had 3 children when I came to AA, 12, 10, and 5. I never could stop drinking. I'd sit between the cribs and cry because I didn't want to be a drunken mother. I wanted those babies, but I couldn't stay sober for them. Neighbors took care of them. Nana downstairs helped me with them because I'm on these week-long drunks. How many days drunks? And then I come back and I do it again. And the guilt and the remorse almost kill me because I couldn't live with myself. Doing it again and again and again. So I'm looking for Miss Limbaum to come to sell some insurance for the house. And what did I do? I got a phone call. And I heard the guy's voice from the VFW. And I banged the phone down on him. He called me back the second time. I said, don't bother. There's a lady coming. I haven't seen her since I'm 8 years old. I really want to stay here and see this lady today. I had made salads. I straightened up. Everything was all ready for Miss Lindbaum. I banged the phone on him the second time. I remember going around the corner to the store, and I came back. He was on the phone for the third time. I said, oh, my God. He said, do me a favor, Liz. Hop a cab. I'll introduce you to the people. I'll put you back in the cab, and I'll send you home to your company. I figured, let me do that, because he's going to drive me up a wall today. He's not going to let me stay in here today. So I grabbed the cab, and I go over to the post. The jukebox is going, and I'm singing, you always hurt the one you love, the one you don't want to hurt. Oh, give me another drink. Smile if you're happy. Give me another drink. I'm 93 years old, and I have not seen Miss Lindbaum yet. I woke up in one of my son's twin beds. And at the foot of this bed stood my mom over here and Mr. Bailey over here. And my mom's got her head just going. And she's screaming to the rooftop, somebody done something to her. Somebody done something to her. And Mr. Bailey got his head going. And he's saying, no, Mom, nobody's done anything to her. She happens to be a very sick girl. Well, he didn't call me a bitch. I never heard sick before. I got up out of that bed, and I went to the basement of that house. And I stayed in the basement for 2 days, praying to die. I wanted out. I wanted out. I wanted out. I couldn't live with me any longer. And my oldest son, like I said, he was 12 years old. He was sitting in the TV room reading a book. He's 74 now. A nice young man. And I didn't born no dumb children, let me tell you that right now. They're all college material that I have for 2 boys and 2 girls. Because I had an AA baby when I got 4 years sober. Girls, you don't have to have a baby, though. And yet and still, she's the best gift God could ever give me. I named her after AA, Adrian Anita. But 39 years ago, she became a Muslim. And she upset the family. She didn't upset me. Because she's live and let live. Use your slogans that you got here. She was in college, and she knew she wanted this guy. And they're married 39 years. So she says, Mother, are you accepting me as a Muslim? She lives in Boston, you know, so she talks Boston. And she says, are you accepting me as a mother, as a Muslim? I said, you join Hoodism, Buddhism, I really don't care who'sism. I said, because it might help her have a better life. And she has had a beautiful life. She born 12 babies. She lost 6, and she has 6. And all the 6 are college material. They've all graduated from college. Got nice positions today. She's my gift. She's my gift. God knew what he was doing. So here again, I remember so clearly, the second night in the basement, I looked at my son, and I said, Richard, I can't live like this. This is not the way I want to live. I live 3 blocks from the Long Island Railroad. I'm going to go up on the railroad, and I'm going to jump in front of a train, and I'm just going to end it all. But you know what I did? I started screaming, oh, God! Oh, God! Oh, God! Please help me! Please help me! And Mr. Bailey's words came back. Try this AA, I said to my son. I took the telephone book down off the cabinet. There were no women hardly in AA when I came. AA was 17 years old. You guys didn't want us women. You made us stand outside the door. two women from California, Sheila and Sylvia, I think their names are. You can get them on internet. And they fought for us women to be in AA. That's why I mention them. Because without them, I don't think I would have been here anyway. AA was 17 years old with 150,000 members. I just told you before how old we were going to be. Next year, I'm looking forward to making it international again. Next year, it'll be in Georgia. And my family is in Georgia, one part of it anyway. My son said, Mom, buy the ticket for 2 more extra days, because when you get through with that, you're going to need 2 extra days. I said, okay. But here again, something told me to try this AA. And I got my hair done. I don't know about you all knowing about afro. But when I'd get drunk, I had an afro before it came in style, honey. Believe me when I tell you. And my beautician used to raise the devil with me. I'd curse her out, you know that. And tell her this is my head and I paid for it. You know, nasty. I wasn't a nice person at all. And so, you doing the first things first on me? Okay. That's okay. I had a guy do that didn't do that to me last week and knew it. But that's all right. I know about first things first. Easy does it. Think means the happiness I now know. All them slogans, use them. Use your steps. All of that is a way of life that I've been privileged to make 62 years here. A beautiful 62 years. I've been through the death of my father, my mother, my husband, my children, all nieces and nephews, all are buried, most all of my family in this 62 years. But I did not have to pick up a drink or a drug. Whew, hallelujah. AA is powerful. 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 Don't mess with it. Don't mess with it. I'll tell you that right now. It'll fix your fanny, but good. Oh, yeah, you might not even make it back. Think about that. I have the girl that was supposed to come here with me. You know what her famous slogan is? I'm too blessed to be stressed. I love it. I love it. They always say get a slogan or get some kind of scripture or something to help you in your sobriety so that you won't have to go back out there. I hope I never go back out. I'm 93 and my motor's still running. And girls, let me tell you, you can fall in love at 93. Woo-hoo! It scares the hell out of you, but it happens. Yeah, and he's younger than me, too. That's what kills it. Woo, it's dangerous. Dangerous. I won't let him near me. No, I don't. But I'm so happy that I'm divinely can have these feelings. I've been through 12 operations in 60 years. I'm cut to pieces, drunk and sober. Drunk, I was falling down basement steps. You see my arms all sliced up, putting my hands through window plate glasses, drunk. Laying down on the couch full of fire. My husband pulled me up out the fire. Thank God he was in the next room. See? But I keep going. I keep going. So finally I did call Intergroup from the telephone book. And I went down to Intergroup. We only had the one at the time, and it was in New York. And I tried to get up the stairs. I got in the middle of the landing. I started, the hell with this stuff, and poof! And the lady looked down the stairs at me. She must have watched me coming in from the street. She says, "Are you having trouble?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And at that time I could run, so I ran up the stairs to her. And this is the first time in my life at 31 that I ever heard anybody be honest, like I'm standing up here with honesty today to you, to be honest about their wrongs and the things she had done. And she kept hitting me between the eyes. And I got goose pimples and chills. I started to fall off the chair. She's telling me about herself. And she choice of two meetings. So I went to my first AA meeting, July the 11th, 1952. And when I walked in there, two girls behind the coffee counter looked up at me. I'm only mimicking them. I'm not making fun of them. They said to me, "You don't look like an alcoholic." I said, "What is she talking about? Let me get the hell out of here." You know, I'm running out the room, honey. I'm getting out of there but fast. And the man hit me over here on the shoulder. He says to me, "What's the matter with you? Where are you going?" I said, "They said I don't look like an alcoholic." I don't know what an alcoholic looks like. I've never even heard the word. But I'm about to lose my mind, my home, my children, and everything through drinking. He said, "Have a seat, sweetie. You're in the right place." And they all sat around two tables and shared their hope, strength with me. And like I said, that was July the 11th, 1952. They told me not to get sober for my mother, thank God, because I'd have been drunk. I can't tell you how many years it took my mom to tell me to stay with them A's, whatever they are. I'm not leaving these A's, you hear me? I'm not going anywhere. Don't look for me to go anywhere. Mr. Bailey couldn't stand me sober. Every night I go to a meeting. I went to 7 meetings a week and 7 nights a week and 3 times on Sunday. Come and go with me so you can learn about me. Maybe we can get some kind of life back together. And no, there goes that B again out the door. And you told me not to stay sober for Mr. Bailey. I had the honor and the privilege of speaking for our late co-founder, Bill Wilson. I spoke for Bill Wilson's 28th anniversary. Hotel Commodore, 2,700 people that night. All dignitaries, Dr. Shoemaker, Ebby, all of them were there, sitting up on the daises. And I invited Mr. Bailey to come. I bought all gold. I wore gold dress, gold shoes, gold bag, gold everything. And he shows up at 3 in the afternoon. And you guys told him how much you loved me, and he could not handle that. He couldn't handle it. Came home from that dinner and banged every pot on the stove, screaming, "I've got to get rid of you. I got to get rid of you." And I used the 3rd and the 11th step at 3 in the morning. And my God, whom I had found by this time, had told me, "You got to leave. You got to leave if you want to stay sober." So the next day he came down and I said, "I'm leaving." "Oh, you can't live without me." I said, "Oh, we'll see." I lived 24 years without him. But I went back at the end of 24 years to take care of him in his last days. And everybody said to me, "Why did you go back to him as nasty as he was to you?" I had to make amends. I was not a good wife. I was not a good mother. And I had to make those amends taking care of him. He died in my arms, August the 12th, 1986. And am I free myself? I'm free. I made amends, taking care of him. And one day in the hospital, he asked me, "Take my hand, Liz." And I took his hand. He says, "I want to thank you for saving my life." And he says, "Liz, I love you." And I screamed. I scared the next patient in the next bed, because I had never heard "I love you" in 47 years. But I got it before he left. Took me 47 years to get it, but I got it. See? And then my oldest son, that 12-year-old, hated my living guts for 54 and a half years of my program. He let me know he would never forgive me or forget me for my past. And you know, I kept my mouth shut. By this time, I'm with God. I turned it over to God. And one day I got a telephone call. speaking to? Your son. I said, which one? How many sons you got, he said. I said, in AA, I got a many a son, honey. He said, no, I'm your biological son. I'm calling to make restitution to you. And I said, I'm accepting it because I've always loved you. I've always loved you. Today, for the last 3 years, my son treats me like a queen. He sent a $1,600 ticket for me to come to California when he was living in California. I got off the plane and I'm looking for him. I'm looking all over the airport. Then I'm down by the luggage. Figured he'd be down there. And all of a sudden, a young man walks up to me and he says to me, I'm looking for my mother. I said, who the heck is his mother? Gee. And then I turned and looked again. I saw Mr. Bailey all up here. I said, I'm your mother. And what was so funny about it, he took me, hugged me, and he gave me a bouquet of flowers. And we went for lunch. And he said to me, do you mind if I have a wine with my lunch? I didn't come here to change you. I came here to have a good time, baby. I have a good time everywhere I go. In sobriety, it's beautiful. In sobriety, it's beautiful. You know what you've said, you know where you've been, you know what you do. That's a lot of freedom right there. I'll tell you. Today, again, he treats me like a queen. That second son I had was an addict and an alcoholic. And this is why I went to Al-Anon with 4 years of sobriety. Because I didn't know how to handle him, being my son. And Al-Anon showed me how to handle him. Mind your own business, MYOB. And today I've learned that I can love you. Oh, I can love you. But I can detach from your ways and you. Yes, I can. I've learned that. You want freedom? Do that. Love him. Keep the love in you, because love is God in you. And he's in every one of us in this room this morning. That's why AA works. Where there are 2 or more under the same accord, God's in the midst, whether you like it or whether I like it. He's in the midst of this room. That's why AA has grown so powerful. Look at all the fellowships that I watch come into AA. EA, FA, OA, all them A's. They all stem from Alcoholics Anonymous. That's how powerful we are. These 12 steps are something else. In fact, I just met the guy from the hotel, and I broke my anonymity with him while Mark was going to get the car. And he let me know, the manager there. He said, AA is powerful. He says, I know about them programs. And that was the end of it. I have men falling in love with me still everywhere I go. And he made a big fuss over me this morning, so I came here very happy. Yesterday I had the same thing happen. So I have it everywhere I go. It's according to how you treat people and speak to people. When the waiter went last night to take my plate, I said, you're going to lose a hand. Because I wasn't finished. See, so I have people smiling everywhere I go. A guy went in to buy a grandfather clock. You know how them clocks are tall. So he told the guy, the manager said, well, I'll take the clock out to the car for you. He said, no, put that clock on my back. I'll take my own clock out to the parking lot. And as he's walking out with the clock on his back, he bumps into a drunk. And the drunk looks up at him and says, why can't you wear a watch like everybody else? I love that. I loved it. I loved it. Mine is a little cleaner than yours, though. Well, oh, God, but that was a good one, Linda. Yeah, it was a good one. So, and my second son is an alcoholic and an addict. Listen to what I used to say to him. Dennis, the right road may be hard, but the easy road, the price is heavy. June 25th, of that, he just made 28 years old. He was shot and killed in between 2 houses. And right behind him, my beautiful sister, who had 5 babies, she went up near the George Washington Bridge. There's a building there. And she jumped 30 floors. She laid on the canopy for 5 days. To look at her broken body in the casket really affected me, but not enough to pick up a drink or a drug. And her husband came from Texas and took them all back to Texas, so they had their dad for a long time. I went up and I had cancer. The doctor says, "You've got 6 months to live." I said, "You're not talking to me like that." I'm in a fellowship that teaches me. I don't care about my anonymity. I really don't. I let every doctor know I'm an alcoholic. One doctor looked at the pendant around my neck and he says, "What is that?" I said, "That's how long I'm sober." He said, "You'd never make a good doctor." I could care less. So I went back to school after 44 years not being in school. I went down to New York visiting nursing in Manhattan. I graduated with an 88 average. That's how I knew how to take care of Mr. Bailey. The head doctor handed me my diploma. She said, "If I ever took sick, Miss Bailey, I want somebody like you to take care of me." So my going to school hasn't paid off because I really do AA. God and AA is first with me. My first 5 years in AA were the hardest years of my life. I didn't know about this new way of living. I told you I never heard the word alcoholic. I didn't know I was highly emotional. I didn't know I was highly sensitive. I knew nothing about me. But I kept going. 3 times on Sunday. I adopted me a beautiful sponsor. For 28 years I had her. And when I'd whine to her, she'd tell me, "Listen, Liz Bailey, AA don't need you, but you need AA." I'd cry. I cried for 5 solid years. Yeah, I'll tell you. And then I'd go back and whine some more. And she'd say, "Sit on the pot or get up off it." And when I came into AA, they did not talk nice to you. They belted you because they meant what they were saying. They weren't playing no games. And she was my sponsor. And then I got another one I kept for 35 years. And the 35-year one, before she died, I wasn't sick. But I don't know why that lady said to me, "I want you to let people help you, Liz." And I live to her words today. Those are her last words to me. I will not be in AA without a sponsor. And the 35-year-old one, her daughter is my sponsor. She asked me that going out the door. "Liz, let me be your sponsor." So I have a sponsor. I'm not in here without the sponsor. Somebody said to me the other day, "I heard you never took the steps." I could not have stayed sober 62 years if I hadn't taken the steps. Those are our tools. And I used to sit around with you at my dining room table, taking steps. Because we didn't have any rehabs and places to take a drunk. I used to bring the drunk home with me. I'd ask Mr. Bailey first, because it's his home too. And he'd let me bring the drunk home. Then you began to steal from me. And I had to stop that. And just as I stopped that, rehabs opened up. And then what happened after rehabs opened up? A lot of you made it social clubs. They had to close down because insurances wouldn't pay anymore for you to socialize. See what I mean? So I've been through all of that. I've helped open up 4 groups. I opened up a clubhouse because I believe in dancing, baby. I could dance all night. You know, I'm going to dance again, too. I'm learning to walk, but I'm going to dance. I'm going to throw that lousy cane away. I'm telling you right now, because I'm on a hot road now. He's right. I'm booked to 016. You guys don't plan for me to get drunk either, do you? That's good. Thank you. I thank him for my insurance policy being here today, because he booked me months and months ago. Been on my calendar for here. So I plan to stay sober. The last thing I'm going to tell you guys, I have 26 grandchildren. from 50 years old down to newborn. I see them by appointment only. I do not babysit. I did not start babysitting. I was not, till this day, I let nothing interfere with God and my program. I do not. I'm sorry. Man will wash you away, and I know that. I know that. I've listened to you, and I'm still listening to you. Listen to learn and learn to listen. That's what I'm doing till today. I don't have all the answers. I just celebrated one of my sponsees' 60th anniversary, and the young lady I met today with 60 years, thank you for being here today. And I'm looking for somebody older than me in the program, too, right now, to tell me how not to get burnt out. Because I could get burnt out by not saying no. And I was trained in here. Bill came out with the sign even. I am responsible. We are responsible. When anyone, anywhere, reaches out their hand, he wants us to be there. And that's what I try to do. I'm still not going to say no to anybody. I don't need to do that because I live in a room and kitchenette. And I don't want to be locked up in that room and kitchenette. And the minute I feel good, I've been just finished being thrown out of 2 hospitals. You know why? I had too much company. Did you ever hear such a thing in your life? You guys were coming up the stairs, up the elevators, on the phone. They drove the hospital crazy. That's the love that you get here. And this love will blow your mind. You have to know how to stay in your place. I know how to stay in my place. I run around, my grandchildren will call me, how you doing today, Nanny? Attitude plus gratitude like a nut. I'm running around with gratefulness. Do you know how grateful I am that I could get in Mark's car on time and come here and try to do the best that I can? And the blessings that I received is amazing. My doctor 3 or 4 weeks ago gave me a nice bill of health. And he gave me such a help, my doctor hugged me. And I came out of there flying on a natural high, baby. Because my doctor said I'm doing good. And when I get off a plane, what can I do for you, Liz? Feed me. Isn't that a nice way? And I've lived in the best of hotels. I want to tell the lady about Hawaii, who asked me about Hawaii. Was that you, Denise? I think so. I got off the plane in Hawaii. They put a lei of flowers around your neck. I went that end of the Hawaii to meetings. I had leis around my neck. I went that end of Hawaii. I had leis around my neck. I came back to New York. I said, I've never been laid so much in my life. I had flowers up to here. That's my trip to Hawaii. It was good. Yeah. And be careful, it'll get so good, it'll scare you. A lot of you get sobriety, and I say, why did you go back out? You got a wife back, a husband back, you got children back, you got your job back, you got a car back, you got your home back, you got everything back, and you blow it. Why do you blow it? You forget to be grateful. I brought this back from Minnesota, took the sign down even. Attitude plus gratitude will keep you in recovery. Find something every day to be grateful for. If it's just waking up and saying good morning. And the other part about AA too, in the big book, it tells us if you don't have a higher power, get one now. Not next week, next month, now. Because it's not done without a higher power. After 5 years in suffering in AA, it dawned on me one day, this is a gift. A gift. Not everybody gets it. And if you have that gift, keep one hand in AA and one hand in your higher power of your choosing, and then walk this journey. I'm on a journey, not a destination. I don't plan to stop till my Father calls me home. And I want him to be able to say, good work, Liz. Good work, Liz. Because I have been working. I have been working from the day I walked into AA. I'm an interracial child. My father was a white man, and my mother's a black Indian woman. And I had a very, very hard childhood back in the 90s, 90-some years ago. And you know what? I don't look for color in AA, and AA in California and Washington and Baltimore segregated me along my way, this journey. But I paid that no mind because God is in charge. And my God has changed that. It's a we program, W-E, in the first step. And love each other, please, regardless of the color of a person. My black brothers and sisters, I had a hard time with them because they don't believe they have a disease. And I said, get a bottle of scotch. It's got a black dog on it and a white dog. And it doesn't, that scotch don't give a damn what color's drinking it. I'll tell you that right now. I'll tell you that right now. I'm going to close with this. There's 3 sisters. And one sister was putting her foot in the tub, and she says, was I getting in the tub or out the tub? I'll call my other sister. The other sister's coming up the stairs. Was I coming up the stairs or going down the stairs? I'll call my baby sister downstairs. She calls her, so she says, well, I hope I'm not as sick as them 2 upstairs. And she knocked on a table. And she said, who's knocking at the door? They were all sick. We were all sick. And we can get well. Can get well. Do you know that Liz Bailey love you? Because without you, there would be no me. Believe me when I tell you that. And my children say to me, oh, there she goes to save the world. I'm not looking to save the world. I just want to touch one of you. And a lot of times when I say that, you line up and you'll tell me, I'm the one you touched. I'm the one you touched. Thank you for that. But if I can just touch one of you, then I, Liz Bailey, have not lived in vain. Thank you so much.